Hello everyone. So I am Soumya, and I'll be hosting this session along with Archita today. Um, Over to you, Archita.
Hello everyone, my name is Archita and I'll be hosting this session along with Soumya. Today we have with us Prerna, who is an alumni of our college and was also a core team member of Technoliterati. She is completing her master's in business administration from NMIMS Mumbai and will graduate this year. She is also an incoming DTLP at GE Power. We welcome you, Prerna.
Hi guys, am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Yes.
It's clear, right? Like the voice and everything.
yes.
Okay. Um, right. So I'll start off this session. Hi everyone. First of all, I'd really like to thank Technoliterati for inviting me as a speaker to this session. I've had some of my really great memories from college, from this society when I was a part of the core team, just like Soumya and Archita here. I'll just first quickly guide you through what I have thought I'll conduct this session as. I'll just start off with a few pointers that I have about, what makes a good speaker, like what are the elements of a good speaker, and what are certain things that you need to keep in mind when you're planning or practicing to become a good speaker. Following that, I'll be answering the questions that you guys sent via the form. I went through those questions and there were some really good questions. So I'll go through those questions and answer them. And post that, we can just have like an informal Q&A session on this platform itself. Hopefully, the questions that you guys sent are pretty comprehensive and they will cover all aspects. But in case you guys have any other questions, post whatever I have to say. We'll take them up and I'll try to answer them as well as I can. And post that, I think these guys have a quiz planned out for you. Am I right? Yeah. So should we just start? Should we? Are we waiting for more people to join?
I think we can start.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone's mics are off at this point, right? Okay. So in case you guys have any questions while I'm speaking, I'd request you guys to note them and not interrupt during the session because I think then it will get really confusing for everyone otherwise. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, there are certain elements of a public speaker. Now, public speaking is not just when you're talking in front of an audience on a stage. Right now, what I am doing, talking to you guys, even via this platform, is also public speaking because I'm talking to people other than myself. And public speaking is not just in front of a large group of people, it can actually also be just one or two other people. So, first of all, the first very important element of a public speaker is the speaker itself. So, for me to be a good public speaker, I have to focus on my preparation, on my knowledge of the subject, on the way I'm presenting what I know. So, if, for example, we take today's session itself, before I started off with this session, I actually prepared for it. I jotted down a few points because if I don't know what I'm talking about, I will not be able to convince you guys that what I'm saying actually makes sense. So it's not just about my knowledge and comprehension of the subject, but also the way I present it. If I am not comfortable and confident in what I'm saying, then you will not believe what I'm trying to convince you of. So first and foremost, the speaker himself or the speaker herself is a very important element of the entire public speaking process. Secondly, it is the message. Now, in today's session, the message that I'm trying to send across to you guys is how to enhance your public speaking skills. Now, that message can be anything. If you're in a corporate setting, then it is probably an idea that you're trying to pitch to your boss, to your manager, or even to your group members. If it is, say, in an MBA setting, there'll be like a number of presentations that you have to give. So the message in that case is the presentation that you're giving to your peers. So in a public speaking setting, the message that you intend to give and the message that is actually delivered, it is very important that you ensure that they are on the same lines. I mean, if you're trying to say one thing and people do not understand what you're trying to say, and if there's a mismatch between your intention and their understanding, then there's really no point, right? Third is the channel. Now, the channel can be of many types. For example, the channel that we are using right now is the Google Meetings platform. It can also be face to face. It can also be via phone. It can be via video call. There are multiple channels through which you can be in a setting that is public speaking. It is not just via a mic on a stage in an auditorium or in a classroom. I mean, what I'm doing right now is also very well under the purview of, speaking to a group of people, but it's just that the channel is different. So while we're speaking to a group, the way we deliver our speech also varies according to the channel on which we're delivering it to. For example, right now, I am basically talking into a computer screen. I cannot see any of the faces that I'm talking to. So it does make it a little difficult, but that is something that, we need to work around and still need to ensure that the message that we're trying to give as a speaker is clear to our audience. Fourth is the feedback. Now, feedback is not always verbal, it can also be non-verbal. So now in this case, like I said, I cannot see any of the faces. Actually, can I just make a request? Can you guys start your cameras? Because right now I'm literally, staring at a blank screen. And in that case, it is very difficult for me to gauge your feedback. Like I said, feedback from the audience is not always verbal, it is also non-verbal. So in this case, I think Soumya has just started her camera and I can see her face. So whatever non-verbal feedback I get from her in terms of her expressions, or if just in terms of her nodding along to what I'm saying, gives me confidence in the fact that she's understanding what I'm trying to say. So that is the fourth element, that is feedback. Fifth is your body language. Now, body language also again comes into play in matters of public speaking, where the audience can obviously see you. So, like I said, on this platform, or even in a conference room in a corporate setting, or while you're presenting in a classroom, that is when your body language really makes a difference. Body language includes your the way you stand, the way you make eye contact with the audience, what you do with your hands. Most of the times, we get really confused as to what to do with our hands. I think that is one big element of body language that people don't know what to do, whether either standing with their hands behind their backs or to their sides, and they get really awkward. So one important thing that I learned during my MBA days was the power pose. So you can just stand with your fingers, lightly touching each other and just in front of your chest or in front of your stomach. So that is a very comfortable pose to be in. Along with body language, your voice modulation also makes a huge difference. So if I'm just sleeping in a if I'm speaking in a very flat tone, you guys will get bored. And even if I'm saying something which is beneficial or which can help you, you will not take anything away from it because you're not registering it, right? So it's the same as, talking to someone on a very regular basis also. Like if you're talking to someone and they're just droning on and on and on without making much sense, without inducing any sort of excitement or modulation in their voice, you will get bored. So your body language and your voice modulation also make a lot of difference. This obviously includes the tone of your voice, the eye contact, the gestures, and so on and so forth. So these were the main elements of a good public speaker. I'll just repeat them all. That was the speaker himself or herself, the message, the channel, the feedback that you get from the audience, and the body language and voice modulation. Post that, there are certain things or certain characteristics that you keep in mind before, going onto a stage or going in front of a public and talking. They are just, they're very basic, and I think they are sort of inculcated in all of us in one or two ways, but I'll just quickly repeat them. First of all, being confidence. You really need to be confident while you're talking to a group. And even otherwise, like even talking one-on-one with someone, when you somewhere down the line, when you go down to a corporate setting, or even if you go for masters, it will be very important for you to network with your batch there, because that is what will take you forward in life. I know that my connections from even my BTech college are some that will help me somewhere down the line. And I know that I couldn't have forged those connections, or I couldn't have forged those acquaintances if I wasn't confident in the way I presented myself. So confidence is one major aspect. Second is authenticity. Authenticity meaning that always try to be yourself. Don't portray yourself as someone that you're not, because trust me, people will see through you. If what you're talking about or how you're presenting what you're saying is not very true to what your personality is, it will eventually be very visible to your audience. So just never try to pretend to be something that you're not. So authenticity is another very important thing. Third being practice. Now, there's a very fine line between practicing and memorizing. When I say practice, I mean that if you have a speech written or if you have a presentation, then keep practicing the main points of the speech or the presentation. Don't learn them, don't memorize them, because what happens when we rote learn a particular speech or a particular presentation is that when we get stuck and we don't remember the exact word that was to follow the one we just said, we tend to stop, as compared to when we have practiced our speech and when we know the main points and the flow of those points and the way that flow goes. When we keep that in mind, even if we introduce a few here and there, it doesn't make a difference, because your audience does not know what you had written, right? Your audience is just they're just concerned about the content that you're presenting to them. So do not memorize your speech. Practice, 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 practice as much as you want it. You don't reach the point where just one glance through your speech and you can present it to a large group or even to like a group of 3-4 people. So practice is really important. Lastly, being connect with the audience. It is very important to connect with the people you're talking to. Now, this might be through your eye contact. This might be by making your presentation interactive, like introducing a Q&A session, or maybe introducing certain personal anecdotes or personal stories from your experiences into the session, so that the audience connects with you and does not feel that you're just giving them a lecture, right? So, like I said, like I asked you guys to switch on your cameras, because that helps me establish a better connect with who I'm talking to, right? Again, can I request more students to start their cameras if that's okay with the team? I understand when the mics are off. I mean, that's good, but I would really like to see a few faces. I think that will just make things a little easier for all of us, I believe. Yeah, I see new faces. I think this will be good. If whatever I said so far, if that made sense, can you just guys show me like a thumbs up or something like that, so that I know that what I'm saying is making sense to you guys? Right. Okay. So that was from my end. Those were just a few things which I thought would be helpful to you guys. But apart from that, I want to keep the session very interactive, because I feel that will be more beneficial to you guys than me just droning on and on about points which you can even read off Google at any point of time. So I'll quickly jump into the questions that you guys sent for me. The first question was, what is your thought process behind whenever you go on a stage? Okay, so a stage is a very vague statement at this point, because a stage is not always a stage or in an auditorium or in a theater or anything like that. A stage can be your conference room in a corporate setting. It can be your classroom where you're giving a presentation, or it can be just in a group of people where you're trying to network and where you're trying to meet new people. So a stage is a very vague statement, and there cannot be any one uniform thought process behind each of these stages that I have personally presented on. So when I talk about an auditorium stage, I think at that point of time, my thought process is basically to focus on my manner of delivery. If I'm talking to, or if I'm presenting in front of a lot of people, like I have in college as well, I try to make sure that what I'm saying is clear and the message that I'm trying to give to the audience is very, very, understandable to them. And I'm not using words or I'm not using a tone that may be perceived as confusing or condescending or anything of that sort. When I'm giving a presentation in MBA, my thought process is just to make sure that the content I have is right, because the difference between a stage presentation and a class presentation is that a stage presentation is usually vetted by a third person for the content that you're saying in front of someone else. But a presentation in an office or a college is something that you have prepared yourself. So you have to be very sure of the content at that point of time. So basically, the thought process for different stages is very different. Like I cannot answer that in just one line that, oh, this is what I think that, okay, now to go on stage. So this is my process. There's nothing of that sort personally. Yeah, and also I just try to make sure that my modulation in terms of the content I'm presenting and my voice modulation, I try to make sure that that is, I'm very careful about that, and I try to make sure that that is on point, as we say. The second question is what is importance? What is the importance of speaking skills in the corporate world? It is very important because the corporate world is not just about the work you do or the code you write or the circuits you make and you just present that. It's not just about that. It's also about your personality. In fact, if I say so myself, from my experience through my internships, the corporate world is about, I would say, 60% of your work ethic and 40% of how you present yourself. And a major part of how you present yourself is how you communicate with the people around you. Because companies, apart from seeing just your knowledge, they also see if you're a cultural fit for the company or not. So, like I said, for your mid reviews or your final reviews, you have these presentations. So it is important that you get your project across to your managers that this was my work, this is what I've done, this is what I've achieved. So it is very important to be very have a very good hold on your communication skills. And communication skills, like I said, are both verbal and non-verbal. So you have to project that confidence, you have to make that eye contact with people, you have to tell them that this is what I've done, and you have to own what you say. So it's very important to have that. And not just presentations. I mean, when you step into a corporate world or even when you go for masters, you're meeting so many new people and you have to basically make a way for yourself. So even at that point of time, when you're networking with new people, when you're meeting new people, it is important to have a hold on your communication skills. So I guess, yeah, it is quite important to have good communication skills in the world, not just in the corporate world per se, but like overall. Okay, so the third question is how can one be confident while speaking even if they don't know the language properly? That is actually a very good question. And my answer to that would be practice. Practice, practice, practice. Because if you don't know the language, see, the good thing here is that you know your weakness. If you know your weakness, you can work towards improving on it, right? So, if, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming this is because you feel that you don't have a very good hold on the English language. So I would say that, read books, write as much as you can, and share it with people you trust. Be it your friends, your families, people you know will not make fun of you for not having hold on the language, because people do tend to get a little nasty when it comes to stuff like this. So practice in front of them, ask them for feedback, ask them for constructive criticism, and just keep practicing till you feel like, now I'm confident with what I'm saying, and now I'm confident with this language. And don't shy away from it. Like if you are not comfortable with this language, you will only be more uncomfortable if you keep running away from it. So just keep practicing, keep reading, keep writing. I guess that is something that will really help you. Fourth is how important a part does non-verbal communication play in public speaking? It obviously plays a very important part, like I have mentioned in my points before also, the eye contact that you make, the body language that you keep. If you're slouching, then you are perceived as someone who's not confident about what you're speaking, as compared to when you're standing up straight. The use of your hands, because if you're using your hands, not too much also, because then you seem very animated, but just right. If your hands are just to your side, then you seem very awkward and you seem like you don't know what you're doing. So it's very important to strike that balance between the too much use of your hands versus the too little use of your hands, plus the eye contact. Because if you're making eye contact with your audience, they feel connected to you and what you're saying. They feel like a part of the entire experience there. So non-verbal communication is an important part of public speaking. What is more important? Content or delivery? Actually, both. Because if your content is not good, then no matter how well you deliver it, people will see through it. If you have nothing substantial to say, they will get bored of what you're trying to say and they will leave eventually. So, if I take this meeting's example, no matter how well I presented, I could have come up with a very fancy PPT and shared that with you and told you, oh, that these are the pointers. But if they did not make sense, all of you would have left the meeting by now. Nobody would have been here because nobody would have found it to be of any use. As compared to if I had good content, but my delivery is not good, you guys would have gotten bored anyway and left because you wouldn't have understood what I'm saying, right? Like my if my voice modulation, my tone, my gestures had not been good, you would have gotten tired of looking at my face and not seen past that to what I'm trying to say to you, right? So both of these things are equally important. One cannot do without the other. So they go hand in hand. Can I just get like a quick thumbs up if what I'm saying is making sense so far? Thank you. Feedback from the audience. That is what I needed at this point. Okay, so the next question is how to overcome stage fear. Um, that's a very interesting question because I think that is very subjective. Stage fear for some people is more than other people. I remember when I was young, even I had stage fear that I just couldn't perform or do anything in front of an audience. But I guess with time, I got the chance to be on stage first in a large group of people through annual functions in school. And by and large, with time, I got to be on stage with a smaller group of people. And eventually I started going on stage alone for, anchoring or for presenting and stuff like that. So I think through the process of just being on stage regularly, it just helped me overcome my fear of the stage. So in case like if you want to overcome stage fear, like I said, don't run away from things that scare you. Because if you run away from it, then there's no way that you're getting over that fear. If you have stage fear, just face it head on and get on that stage. Like I said, stage is a very vague term. It's not always a stage in an auditorium or a theater. It can be presenting in front of your class. It can be talking to a large group of people. So start off small. Try talking to a large group of people who you're not very familiar with. Then try talking to your class. Try presenting more in front of the class. Eventually look for opportunities that will put you on stage. Maybe first in a group so that you're not put on the spot alone at the first go, right? So again, just face it. Like, don't run away from it. The only way to overcome fear is to fight it. So just like look for opportunities to face that fear and go for it head on. I feel that is the only thing. Personally, that is something that helped me. So I feel that is a very good way to go about it. So the next question is, how does chronomics play a part in communication? So I personally got a little confused with this question. What do you mean by chronomics? If whoever asked this question, they can just be a little more clear about what they meant by this. Is this person here who asked this question? Is there any way to know?
Actually, I'm there.
Yeah.
From chronomics, I meant my time usage.
Okay.
How I'm using my time while delivering my content.
Okay. From what I understood of that question, I'll just try to answer to the best of my understanding. Um, if you have, say, 15 minutes allotted to you for a presentation, you have to really see the content that you're delivering. Now, the content will have an introduction, it'll have a main body, it'll have a conclusion, right? So, out of those 15 minutes, you need to divide your time accordingly so as to give the maximum and most optimum time to the main idea that you're trying to sell, right? So that is one understanding that I have of time usage. Secondly, if you're talking about the pauses and breaks to give while speaking, then that completely depends on the kind of impact that you're trying to create on the audience, the kind of punctuation that you have, and also on your voice modulation. So for example, if you're talking about something, that is a little somber, that is a little sad, then you just try to give it like a a lot more pause at the end so that you let it sink in to your audience, right? So that they just feel that, oh, okay, so this is what she just said. Just give a little, I won't say a very long pause, but comparatively longer pauses as compared to how you would normally speak. If it is something really exciting, so your voice modulation will give that away anyway, right? That this is something that you're happy about, something that you're excited about. But still, one thing that you have to keep in mind throughout all is your speed. Because if you're too slow, like too slow in terms of how fast you're speaking, right? So if you're too slow, people will get bored. But if you're too fast, they will not understand half the things you say. So when I started off MBA, I had an oral communications course in my first ever term. And the feedback I got from my teacher and from my peers was that I speak too fast. So it was very difficult for them to catch half the things that I was saying. So that is something that I had to work on so that whatever I'm saying, at least they get everything, they get all the words. Because if they don't hear or don't understand half the words, then what is the point? Was I able to answer your question? Was that it, or were you trying to ask something else?
Yeah, exactly. The answer was perfect.
Okay, I'm glad I was able to answer your question. So, the next question is, how can you bind your audience while speaking? How can you bind your audience while speaking? Again, it depends a lot on your body language, on your non-verbals. Like I mentioned, eye contact makes your audience feel like they're a part of the entire experience. Your body language portrays you as being confident or underconfident. If you're confident, they will want to listen to you. If you're not confident, they will lose interest anyway. Apart from that, you can maybe introduce certain other platforms or certain other interactive materials, such as like a presentation or like ask them questions or let them ask you questions during the presentation. So what that ensures is that you are on your feet while presenting, like you don't lose track of what you're saying, and also you get a way to check whether the audience is actually listening to you or not, right? So if I had given you guys the freedom to ask questions during while I'm speaking, then I would have known if you're even listening to me or not. And also that acts as a very good medium for feedback also, right? So ask them questions, give them leaflets, or show them presentations. But also when you're using a third platform to make your content interactive, make sure that it is not more colorful or just more vibrant than what you're actually saying, because then people get distracted by it and don't listen to what you have to say. So for instance, had I made a PowerPoint presentation for this session and shared it across the screen, your entire attention, or like 90% of your focus, would have been on the screen and on what's written, not what I am trying to say. So you need to strike that balance between how much you want to put on your cue cards or on your flashcards or on your presentation, on your charts, on your graphs, versus how much you want to keep to yourself so that people actually listen to what you're saying, right? So and also how you find your audience depends on who your audience is. Right? So if I'm giving a corporate presentation or an MBA presentation, I will use a PowerPoint, or I will use graphs, I will use charts, because that is the language they understand, as compared to like I'm talking to you guys on this platform. So I personally believe that me just speaking to you candidly is something that would have helped you more than showing you a presentation. So there are different ways to bind an audience, which totally depends on your platform, who your audience is, and how you want to portray your presentation. How should one pacify themselves before stepping on the stage? Okay, this was another question which kind of threw me off. What do you mean by pacifying yourself? If whoever asked this question can just quickly show me their face and explain this question to me. Is that person here?
So, with this question, I meant that how one can calm themselves down before actually stepping on to speaking or addressing a certain audience, so that the content is delivered properly and the audience endures something out of it.
Okay. Honestly, again, this is a very subjective thing, because for different people, how they calm themselves down is very different. So, you might not want to think about the presentation at all. You might want to listen to music and just be extremely calm and relaxed before you actually go on stage. Because the more you think about something that scares you, the scarier it gets. You just make it out to be this one big thing in your mind, which it probably isn't. So for me, I don't have any such techniques or any such things which I do to pacify myself. I just be myself, right? Like I just wait for my turn, and when it's my turn, I'm just like, okay, this is just another day. This is just some group of people that I'm talking to, and this is something that I want to get across. So how do I say this? Like, yeah, I mean, no, I'm sorry if I'm not able to answer your question properly, but it's very subjective, right? Like, how do you pacify yourself? I guess at the end of the day, whoever you're presenting to, whoever they are, they're people at the end of the day, right? The maximum that can happen is they will not like what you said. And that's okay, because not everyone everywhere will. What really is important is that you are true to your content, you are true to your delivery, and you you just give your 100%. I know these are like very cliched words and you hear them everywhere, but uh, that's true. I mean, at the end of the day, क्या ही कर लेंगे यार वो लोग तुम जिनको present कर रहे हो, right? Like they'll probably give you feedback, and that is good. If they don't like it, then ask them for constructive criticism, ask them for feedback, and use that in your next presentation or next speech, wherever that is. So, use that as a method to grow and not something that scares you. So I would just say that don't think too much about, oh, I'm going to go on stage. What's going to happen now? Like that will just scare you more. So just try and relax your mind in whichever way suits you. I guess that's how you would pacify yourself. I hope that helped. I'm not sure about this answer myself actually.
Thank you so much. No, it was like pretty much acceptable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question being, what role do the communication etiquettes play while speaking? Very important. Again, communication etiquettes, from my understanding, include your body language, your tone, your words, and also, in any setting for that matter, the kind of distance you maintain from people, right? So you can't just go up into their face and talk to them. There is a respectable distance, like a bubble of privacy that is around each and every person that you just cannot invade. So it is very important to talk to them from a respectable distance. If your tone, I have seen my tone change according to the people I talk to. So if I'm talking to my friends versus me talking to my manager in office, it's completely different. How you modulate your voice, how you modulate your tone, the kind of words you use, to, totally varies and changes from person to person. Even amongst teachers or even among colleagues, there'll be people who are a lot more chill and a lot more open to a certain type of colorful language, if I may put it like that. And you need to gauge that for yourself before you just go and say anything to anyone. So your etiquettes, your body language, your words, your tone, your distance from people, all of that is very important, because one misstep here or there can really cause a lot of confusion, can cause a lot of chaos, and that is not something you want, right? Because I mean, just why would you want that in your life? Like, you just want to live a comfortable, happy life. So might as well just follow the communication etiquettes. It's just easier that way. No, less drama, I feel. Okay, how much important is it to have a refined content? Again, it depends on who you're delivering it to. So right now, for example, I think you guys will understand that I hadn't prepared a script for this. I'm not reading off anything. So I will not say that my content is 100% refined and it's perfect. You'll probably find other speeches and other platforms out there which are better, have better words and have better refinement of content as compared to me right now. But I felt that for this presentation, I had to be a lot more candid, because I'm talking to my peers more than, some random group or some random presentation or some random meeting that I'm heading. So refinement of content again depends on the context and the audience. So if I'm giving a corporate meeting main presentation, So in that case, I would have to ensure that my content and what I'm saying is a lot more refined than how I'm talking right now. So if I take my example of my mid review or my final review for my internship in GE last year, the kind of presentation I had and the kind of content delivery I had was very different from very different from how I'm presenting right now. I could not be as candid there because I was being evaluated for a certain thing. So again, the level of refinement depends on who you're talking to. I hope that made sense. Just like a thumbs up here and there would be good, guys. Like that gives me the motivation to keep going. Why is it preferred to have to and fro interactions with the audience? Because it builds connect with the audience. Like I just asked you guys to give me a thumbs up because that shows me that you guys are listening to what I'm saying, and what I'm saying is not falling on deaf ears, right? And it just also gives the speaker motivation to go on, right? So it is important. It's a two-way street, right? Like it tells you that the audience is listening to you, and also secondly that what you're saying is actually making an impact and making sense, right? So to and fro interaction, again, very subjective. There are some cases where you do not want interruption from the audience, whereas there are other cases where you would want interaction from the audience. So you have to gauge that for yourself, and you have to see that, where is it important, where is it not important. But otherwise, I feel it is a very, important element of communication in general, to and fro interaction. What is your elevator pitch? So am I being asked to pitch myself here, or am I being asked what is an elevator pitch? Like, what is the question? If someone could clarify that.
I think the participant meant what is an elevator pitch.
Okay, so an elevator pitch is nothing but like a 30 seconds pitch of your idea or yourself. So if I'm talking about the elevator pitch of a business, I'll tell you where this word originated from, and then I think it'll become clear for you guys. So an elevator pitch is a pitch for your idea or your business, which will finish off and get wrapped up in one elevator ride. So if you're presenting to an investor or to a venture capitalist who's going from say floor 10 to floor 1, and you just have that time with yourself to present your idea to him or her, how do you encapsulate your idea in those 30 seconds so that you get the main point across and leave an impact just enough for the VC to say that, you know what, come to my office tomorrow and we'll have a chat about it. So that is the elevator pitch, where you have a big idea, but you have to compact that into like 30 seconds or 1 minute max, so that you get the main point across and leave an impact. So yeah, that is the elevator pitch. How was my first public speaking experience? To be very honest, I don't remember because it was, I think, really long ago. But I'm pretty sure I was really, nervous. I would say scared, but maybe I was nervous. But like I said, start off in a group first. So I think, as far as I remember, I had a partner with me and both of us were anchoring together on stage. So that gave me confidence and that gave me motivation that, I have my friend with me and nothing will really go wrong. If we screw up, then both of us screw up. So it's fine. It's okay. So yeah, I don't actually remember 100% how my experience was. Okay, the last question that I have here is, how can one leave a lasting impact on the audience? Be yourself. I guess so. That is my one advice. That if you really want to leave a lasting impact, then just don't try to be something that you're not, because people will see through that. I mean, if I take from my personal experience and talk about this session right now, if I was trying to be too grand or if I was trying to present in a way which was not true to myself, you guys would have left and been like, kya bakwas session tha, kuch seekhne ko nahi mila. But again, you can still say that. I mean, you probably did not learn anyway through this session. But I hope I was able to leave some sort of an impact in your mind, and you'll probably think about this, even if it's just for half an hour after this session. If that is something that I've achieved, then in my eyes, I've left an impact on the audience. So yeah, just be confident, be yourself, and just keep all the points in mind, which I said. And also, don't be afraid to make a mistake. right? Like, I mean, in the past half an hour or more, I have made a lot of mistakes while speaking, but it's okay because you're just human. So don't be afraid to make a mistake, and if you've made a mistake, then just own up to it, or just correct it and move on. Because if you focus a lot on the mistake that you've made, then the audience will also see it. Whereas, as compared to if you just move on, they'll just be like, "Hey, अच्छा ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं," and they just move on with your content and they just move forward. So yeah, I guess those were my answers to the questions that you guys had for me. Any other questions after this? Like, if you guys have any other questions right now, I will be happy to answer.
Yeah, I have a question. May I?
Yeah, sure.
I have tried to participate in many public speaking events I could, but still, whenever I go up on the stage, my legs shiver and my speech in the starting wavers. So I'm not able to correct it. Is there any way?
I'll tell you something honestly. The same thing happens with me even now. In fact, you're talking about going on stage. When I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I noticed this in myself that at the starting of this workshop versus right now, I have felt my comfort level going up because I am becoming familiar with my audience. I am becoming familiar with the platform. I am becoming familiar with the speech. So that initial jitters you will get, even I get, and it's okay. Honestly, it's very natural. It's very normal, and in order to overcome that, I guess just don't focus on it and just keep going with the content that you had prepared, because that's what I did right now. I mean, I'm literally talking to a laptop screen, but I was nervous somewhere inside. What if these guys don't like me? What if they don't like what I'm saying? But I'm like, it's okay. Just keep saying, and I could then see that connect from you guys eventually, that you're liking what I'm saying, and that then gave me the confidence to keep going. So don't get too rattled by those jitters or those initial shivers. It happens. It's very natural. What I would say is just keep going despite it. Because with time, when you keep speaking, they will go away eventually during the speech.
How should we gauge an audience that does not agree with what we are saying?
um, how do you know if the audience is not agreeing with you? I guess they will show it to you, if not through verbal, through their non-verbal communication, right? Like so right now I see you guys nodding along, but if you were not agreeing with what I was saying, you would have probably just made like a really weird face. What is she saying? Or you would have probably been like, no, that's not right. So their non-verbal communication gives away a lot. So that can help you gauge whether the audience is agreeing with you or not. And if they really hate you, वो गाली दे देंगे तुम्हें. और the hope, I mean, thankfully अभी तक मेरे साथ ऐसा नहीं हुआ है, and I hope किसी के साथ हो भी ना. But वो पता चल जाता है. If your audience is not agreeing with what you're saying, then you will see it on their faces and in their actions.
Whenever I step on to address somebody, I mostly during any public event or mostly at public speaking, I tend to fumble a lot. So how do I overcome that?
Niharika, that is a very good question. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but even I fumbled during the process of this workshop, during the process of this speech. So what I would say is that keep talking to people and try and identify the source of your fumbling. Is it because because of your lack of vocabulary, or is it because your lack of confidence, or is it because you don't have the right content? Because these are the three main things which make you fumble. So if I don't have a good vocabulary, and I don't mean like a very colorful vocabulary, you don't always have to use big words which half the people don't know the meaning of. It's fine, you don't have to use those words. But if you personally feel that I don't know enough words to communicate, read more, try and improve on your vocabulary. If it is your confidence, then the only way you'll get confidence is to keep at it. Just keep talking to people and keep trying to find more ways and more platforms to communicate with people on. And thirdly, if it's your content, then like I said, work on content refinement, do the research if required. If you feel like your content is lacking, factual support or some sort of evidential support, then do the research to support that. Because when you have the facts to support what you're saying, you automatically get the confidence and the vocabulary. Because when you research, you read so much, you get to know so much that it works in a very holistic manner. So I guess all three things will help you to not fumble eventually. I mean, a little bit of fumbling is natural here and there. It will happen. And it's okay to let it happen. You're human. But if you feel like there's a deeper reason to it, then maybe you can work on it in one of these three aspects.
Thank you so much, Dee.
Yep. Any other question?
Dee, are there any famous public speakers that you look up to for techniques?
This might sound like a very crude answer, but not really. I just feel like public speaking as a skill is something that okay, this will sound very this thing ki, aate aate aa gaya, but honestly that is what happened, because I didn't really very consciously make an effort to become a good public speaker, or I didn't go for classes, or I didn't take any lessons or look at any people. I just feel like I just kept doing it on different platforms and in front of different people, and just eventually I just liked talking to people eventually. So I guess it just happened. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry if that makes me sound like a very, I don't know, I don't even have the word for it right now, but yeah, that's just very honest, I feel.
Dee, could you please tell us that one experience that you remember till date?
Till date, yeah, I guess funnily enough, when I was preparing for this session yesterday, I actually got reminded of this incident. So I think it was back in class 11 in school, and I was hosting the farewell that you give your class 12 seniors this farewell, right? And I was on stage with my friend, and I had to give out and announce the titles to the seniors, that the Mr. Popular, Mr. this, Mr. that, whatever it was. And this one title that I had to give out, and I called out the wrong name very confidently, and that guy came on stage, he took the prize, and this teacher standing on, in the wings of the stage, just staring at me, shouting at me over all the music, "Are you crazy? What have you done? This wasn't the name that you had to take." And I just remember freezing on stage and being like, "Oh no, what have I done?" And after that, I had to actually recall the prize and tell that guy that, "Sorry, we made a mistake and you haven't actually won this." So I guess that was even more embarrassing than actually calling out his name in the first place. So yeah, I guess that is one event and one incident that I still remember. Yeah, any other questions? I'm actually enjoying this. I'd like to answer more questions if there are any. It's good to see new faces during this lockdown, to be honest.
Dee, since you're in the last year of your MBA, I
actually finished my MBA. I just wrapped it up in March.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
It's okay.
Just wanted to ask, how did you specifically prepare for the interview? Since it's very explicit and very, that requires a lot of gripping over the content. So how did you prepare?
Funny story about my MBA. I'd actually planned to go for MS at GRE TOEFL sab de diya tha. I was all preparing all my applications and everything. But due to certain incidents and certain turn of events, I was like, "Chalo, MBA bhi de dete hai." I sat for placements. I was preparing my application for MS, and I was like, "ठीक है, MBA भी दे ही देते हैं, सब कर ही रहे अभी तो, let's do that also." So I gave a couple of MBA entrances. I gave NMAT, I gave CAT, and I gave XZAT, the entrance for XLRAT. And while I was giving the entrances, I realized that this is what I want to do. I don't know how, I don't know what struck me at that point, but I was like, this is what I want to do. And MBA processes are obviously, there's the written entrance that you have, followed by the GDPI, and then eventually you get to know whether you've made it or not. So the public speaking part came in handy during the GDPI round of the whole thing. So again, I got the jitters, I was nervous, and especially in the one-on-one interview, I was like, what am I doing? Because I'm up against people who are, who probably have more work experience than I do, who are probably more qualified for this than I was. But one thing I did was I was confident. I mean, no matter how I felt on the inside, I portrayed to the panelists that, you know what, I am confident sitting where I am and I belong here. Secondly, be honest. If you don't know the answer to a particular question, tell them that I'm not sure about this, but I will go back and find out. Because they're not crazy, right? Like they've done this for years. They will know when you're trying to bluff. They will know when you're trying to lie, and that is true even through the internship interviews that I sat for in MBA, or even any other placement interviews or any other interview that you sit for. Be honest. Don't try to hide what you don't know. And if you own up to it and say that, you know what, I maybe I read about this, but I don't remember it right now. I will go back and check. Just that shows that you're willing to learn more. So that third, whatever you know, even if it's like it's 1/10 of what they've asked, tell them what you know. Now don't let what you say be very off track as compared to what they've asked, because then they'll just be like, why are you telling me this? This is not what I asked you. So if you know even like half of what they've asked you, answer them and then tell them, this is what I remember right now, but I will go back and check. Having said that, obviously you need to prepare before you go for your interviews. Now, for if you're asking me for MBA interviews in particular, I think I read a lot of GK and read a lot of current affairs, because MBA interviews are a lot about that. And also they are a lot about your profile. So because I was a fresher straight out of college, I did not have any work experience. They asked me about the subjects I studied in college. They asked me what my favorite subject was. I told them DBMS, so they asked me basics about DBMS and even basics about physics, chemistry, basics about my interests. So, because you do send your profile to MBA colleges, right? Like they have this sort of CV of yours with them, which they look at. So just prepare very well on those pointers, and I guess that will help you.
I heard in the introduction that you were in the Technoliterati core team.
Yeah.
So, how was your MUN experience at that time, and what did it teach you?
It was amazing, because I think that was the first MUN that we conducted as IGDTUW, and that was an intra-MUN. And it was just the three of us at that time from the core team who actually taken it upon themselves to organize the whole thing. So from deciding the delegations to deciding the committees to getting those placards printed and folded and laminated. I mean, we did everything, and till date it is one of my most cherished memories from college. I mean, I still think about that MUN and I still wonder how did we manage to pull that off, from roaming the streets of Chandni Chowk to finding the perfect printing guy to ordering food for the MUN to sending out invites to the secretary generals and all of that. I think it was just a lot of fun. Yeah. Are you guys still doing the intra-MUN, or has it progressed to an inter-MUN now?
We are actually planning to conduct one soon.
Inter-MUN.
It'll be fun. Intra-MUN at that point was intra because we were just starting off and we did not have the resources or the logistics to host it at a very grand stage. But whatever we did, it was a lot of fun.
Do you guys have any more questions?
Just a general question to ease out the atmosphere. Something you liked about IGDTUW?
I think the bonds I formed there, definitely. Like I found some really, really good people who I know are like my friends for life. I know this sounds very cliche at this point, and like, kya baat kar rahe ho yahan pe to aise koi hai hi nahi. But trust me, by the time you pass out and by the time you finish fourth year, you would have found that those people who you know are just going to be there for you whenever you turn to them. it's okay even if it's just like one or two people, because honestly at the end of the day that's all you need. You don't need a group of 10 people around you to feel good about yourself, or to feel like, oh, I have friends because I have this group of 10 people from college. If you have that, great. But even if you don't, and even if it's just that one person, equally good. So yeah, I guess it's the bonds I formed, and it really showed me that women are really there for each other, as opposed to the kind of things that we see in media and otherwise, that girls are bitches to each other. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Girls are really there for each other, and they really stand up for each other, and they really pull each other up out of dark places. So yeah, I guess that is something I saw. I'm sure all of you in first year, at least those who were not from girls' colleges, would have been like, hey, kya hai? Why are there so many girls here? Because I know I felt that way. But by the end of the 4 years, it was one of the best experiences of my life. I know college has its drawbacks also. क्या building है, कभी भी गिर जाएगी type. अभी तो फिर भी paint हो गई है, but when I was there, it would have been like अभी गिर जाएगी, अभी class के अंदर बंदर आ जाएगा. Back to it, it was a good experience.
See, following up to that, it's again a quite candid question. Have you ever bragged about Tarangana?
Ever bragged about Tarangana?
Yeah. Like,
Honestly,
have you ever promoted Tarangana otherwise? Ki, we organized this fest and all.
I guess I did in the first and second year, because I was a part of the Tarangana organizing committee. Obviously not the core committee, because वो सिर्फ third year से ही बनती है. But I have really seen Tarangana grow to what it is today. Because when I was in first year, it was literally not even 1/10 of what you guys see now. And first year, I mean, my final year as compared to first year was such a huge difference. And 2019, I was in Delhi during Feb. So me and a couple of my friends, we actually came back to college and we snuck into Tarangana, because we're like, what has this become now? Like, we just want to experience that. So I am very proud of how much Tarangana has grown. I personally have never felt that attached to the fest, because maybe I was never that close to organizing it, but I've really enjoyed seeing the way it has grown through the years.
Dee, can you please tell who is your favorite junior?
My favorite junior, I don't think you guys will know, because she is also passed out now. She was from the class of 2019. So, yeah, I mean, I would, but I don't think you guys will really know her. So, plus, I don't want to upset people if they get to know they're not my favorite junior. Sorry, I'm just giving myself too much importance at this point. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. People probably don't even remember me, but it's fine.
Okay, Dee, why you joined Technoliterati and how that helped you?
Why I joined Technoliterati was because I guess I was always into some or the other literary society throughout school, and I was really into reading and even debating or going for all those oration competitions. So I guess I really liked the pitch for Technoliterati, and how it helped me was, it helped me to connect with people. It gave me opportunities such as this right now, because this is also something that has stemmed from my connection to Technoliterati. It gave me the whole MUN experience, and I mean, believe it or not, but that was my first ever MUN experience. I had never been a part of an MUN in any way before that intra-MUN. So that is something that I really enjoyed. And what I learned was probably time management, people management skills, and also how to get work done. Because it's very difficult to get work done around IGDTUW with all the permissions that you need to get and all the forms that you need to get signed. So yeah, I guess those are some of the things that I learned.
Okay, Dee, so what are you doing in quarantine?
I'm just binge watching shows. That's what I'm doing, because I'm going to start my job soon. And this is the most free time I will get in my life. I don't think I'll ever get enough free time ever. I did start off this lockdown thing that, oh, I'm going to do this course, I'm going to get a work from home internship, but all of that just went down the drain, and I'm only going through my list of shows and movies that I want to watch. So that's what I'm doing. It's not a very productive answer. I wouldn't really recommend anyone to do that. If you guys are reading books, then please do that. Please read books. I want to read books, but I don't know. I've just lost all motivation to do anything productive at this point. I'm like, pura life pada hai, abhi productive hone ke liye, abhi I'm going to do this. This is a very politically incorrect answer. Please don't follow it. Do whatever is good for you guys.
Dee, could you please answer what is your best book? Which is your favorite book?
This is going to sound very childlike, but I will always go back to Harry Potter. Forever and ever. I can read that series like a number of times. But apart from that, if you have to ask me, there's this book by Jeffrey Archer called Prisoner of Birth, if I'm not wrong. I think it's Prisoner of Birth only. That is another book that I really liked, that I really enjoyed reading. So yeah.
Any binge watching shows recommendations that you have been watching?
I just finished watching Modern Family today. I mean, it was long due, I know. I'd stopped watching it after season 6. I picked it up again. But I also watched Asur on Voot. I think that is one good show that you guys will like. And I have a list. I'll forward the list to you if you want. You can share it amongst yourselves and watch it. Yep, I am guessing that was the last of the questions. Do you guys want to move on to the quiz? Or is there, if there's any other question, please feel free to ask, because I'm really enjoying this candid session. But in case you guys are running out of time and you want to move on to the quiz, then we can do that too.
Do you guys have any more questions? Okay, so let's move on to the quiz.
Yeah.
Okay, so the quiz is about some commonly mispronounced words. You need to tell the correct pronunciation of these words.
Almond.
Almond.
Almond. Correct.
It's almond.
Yes, almond is the correct pronunciation. Let's move on to the next word.
Sweet.
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 Yes, sweet is the correct pronunciation. So the next word is
Rendezvous.
Rendezvous.
Any more guesses?
Rendezvous. Rendezvous.
Rendezvous
It's
is the wrong
rendezvous.
pronunciation. The correct pronunciation is rendezvous.
Just a little fact about this word, it's actually a French word. The origins are in the French language, and that's why it is not pronounced at all the way that it is spelled. So it is not rendezvous, it is rendezvous. And yeah, so just I think this is something that you can keep in mind, which will help you remember the correct pronunciation for this word. Yeah.
Women.
Women.
Yes, women is the correct pronunciation, while woman is wrong. This is the next word.
Pronunciation.
Pronunciation.
Yes, you are correct.
Epitome.
Epitome.
Yes,
Epitome.
it's
Yes, the
epitome. Now, Soumya will be conducting this quiz further. Over to you, Soumya.
Okay, Archita, can we have the next slide?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yes, it's Wednesday and not Wednesday. Okay.
Sour.
Sour.
No.
Sour.
Yeah, it's sour.
Oh. Pizza.
Pizza.
Yes.
Pizza. Bowl.
Bowl.
Yes,
Bowl.
it's bowl and not bowl. I think that was it for the quiz.
Right. I would just like to congratulate Technoliterati for conducting such a wonderful session. I guess I hope that this was helpful to everyone who attended, and well done, you guys, for organizing this really informative session. I think this was a very good initiative on the part of the society, and I hope you conduct many more such sessions in the future.
Thank you, Z, for joining in. We really had a good time. Thank you.
I hope I was helpful. I hope I was able to make an impact. I hope whatever I said helps you in one way or another. Even if it does, then I guess my work here is done.
Thank you so much, Dee. I think it was a really insightful session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. We had a great time.
Thank you. So did I. I had a great time too. Thank you for inviting me. I'll probably see you guys around for another session if you'll have me again. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, Z.
Thank you.
Bye.